Do you remember Freezer's old overpowered ability, which was removed over 1,000 days ago? Today I'm going over the top 10 biggest nerfs in TDS history. Starting off with Pursuit. Pursuit has recently gone through many changes, starting off with being the most overpowered tower earlier this year. It was then nerfed into the ground, losing its hidden detection entirely.
Which personally I think was a really dumb idea, but that's just me.
It also saw major nerfs in the hardcore update, making its overall costs increase with a substantial decrease in its total amount of damage that it could output. But this is pretty tame compared to Cowboy's nerf in the hardcore update. The Cowboy used to be a pretty bad tower back in early 2020, but then saw a massive buff in its rework added in May of 2020. But this was short-lived when it got a massive nerf in the hardcore update. Cowboy received a major damage nerf and a fire rate nerf, along with losing a lot of the money it could earn previously. But Cowboy is a tower that not a lot of people use, so when Accelerator received a nerf, you know it was major. Accelerator has received a lot of buffs and nerfs over the past 3 years, but recently it has received the worst nerf it has possibly ever had. It saw its hidden detection move to level 1 instead of being on the base, but that's tame compared to its damage and range nerfs. But this was not as bad as Toxic Gunner's nerf, which now makes it one of the most forgotten towers in TDS. Toxic Gunner used to be much better than how it is right now. Toxic Gunner, when first released, could slow every boss in the game, making it extremely strong. But this was sadly patched in a later update after its release. This change to Toxic Gunner's identity is pretty similar to the change in Ranger. Ranger used to be known as the Outlaw and used to be extremely strong back in TDS's past. It used to have hidden detection and could be stacked extremely easily. It also had no competition in terms of damage compared to the other towers. But this all changed in the hardcore update, where Outlaw became Ranger. Outlaw lost its hidden detection and had a small nerf to its damage, but that's not the only nerf it received. Ranger now costed more to purchase from the shop, going from 4,250 to 8,500, along with a level gate to purchase the tower. These nerfs, along with Accelerator being added in the same update, left many people to abandon the tower. But at least Ranger maintains some of its stats, unlike Holiday Archer. Holiday Archer used to be one of the strongest towers in TDS back in December of 2019. It used to only cost $200 to place. It then had its placement price doubled to $400. On top of that, the placement system got changed at this time, stopping players from standing on top of a tower to spam multiple towers on top of one another, which hurt the tower severely. It also received a few nerfs in its damage, making this one of the biggest nerfs in TDS history. But Holiday Archer isn't the only event tower to receive a nerf. Commando was a really strong tower when it was added back in 2019, but soon received such a big nerf that now no one uses the tower anymore. It received a damage nerf to its blasters and missiles, making the tower almost unusable in TDS today. But this nerf wasn't as bad as the subscriber nerf. Did you know that only 72% of people are subscribed? That's a huge nerf when it can be easily buffed by clicking subscribe. It's free and you can always undo it, and it helps me out a lot. So, just subscribe. But not gonna lie, it's not as bad as Engineer's nerf. Engineer used to be the best tower in TDS, but this was sadly changed when Engineer received one of the biggest nerfs in TDS history. It went from being able to place 2 sentries at its base to only placing 2 sentries at level 5. But this isn't the only change. Engineer's fire rate and range were both decreased at level 1, along with its upgrade levels 3 and 4 costing more. But sadly, this is not the worst nerf in TDS, as we haven't spoken about Swarmer yet. Swarmer is still one of the strongest towers in TDS. It can solo almost every mode thanks to its ability, the Beehive Grenade. This ability now has a cooldown and makes it so multiple bombs can't be spammed onto enemies. This change was implemented, as before, if you had many swarmers, you could spam the ability and deal massive amounts of damage, and being able to destroy every single boss in the game easily. But at least Swarmer still has an ability, which cannot be said the same for Freezer. the worst nerf in TDS history has to go to Freezer. Freezer's range had dropped and had a serious decrease in DPS, and ultimately lost their ability, which was very, very good. This had left Freezer in a sad position, as it is often stated as the worst tower in the game. To fix this, the TDS dev team hinted at a Freezer rework in the beginning of last year, but so far there has been little updates posted on this rework, so it seems like the idea has either been scrapped or put on hold. Let me know in the comments which one of these nerfs was the worst. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.